This edition of Italy TV is sponsored by Cola Vita, extra virgin olive oil. And Cheerio chopped tomatoes.
I'm in Poltrona Frau, New York. Frau doesn't come from the German word Frau, but comes from the last name of the founder, Renato Frau, which founded this company in 1912, in Torino. It's a symbol, and it's been a symbol for a long time, of state-of-the-art Italian design. I'm here with William. William, Poltrona Frau just doesn't offer only like furniture, but you guys also do events, right? What type of events do you do and why?
Well, Poltrona Frau is, the world's leading Italian furniture brand. New York is a very special place in terms of Italian food and culture, design. So we have events that showcase Italian designers, Italian artists. For example, we had Massimo Vignelli's 80th birthday party here, which is a very special event. And he and his wife, Lela, have been very active even in New York in terms of doing the subway designs, the logo for the subway system here, redesigning the Bloomingdale's logo for their store. So they have a very personal vested interest in New York City. They also designed the beautiful church that's up in the Midtown off of Lexington. So they have a very personal investment here in New York, as does Poltrona Frau.
And also I know that you guys discover new talent with competitions, correct?
That is correct. So in terms of this year, of the 2012 calendar year, we have some designers that we're working with for the first time. So it's wonderful to have, over the years, working with the same people, people like Jean-Marie Massot, who we've been working with extensively since 2006, but also new talent like Benjamin Hubert, who won the Centennial Design Competition and whose Juliet chair was selected as the Centennial chair, so to project Poltrona Frau into the next 100 years.
Hey, no, I'm not in therapy, even though I need planning. I'm actually laying down and relaxing on a Le Corbusier chair here at Casina. So it's a store, an Italian brand, that makes, among other, like pieces from Le Corbusier, Pierre Jeanneret, and Charlotte Perriand. And it was founded in 1920s in Medea, Italy. Tim, what is an icon, especially what is an icon in design, in furniture design?
Particularly for Casina, an icon is a historic piece that has been around long enough and gained enough traction in the design public to be instantly recognizable. Generally, when we work with designers, they usually pick one or two key pieces as focus points, and then the rest of the furniture will be more neutral and blending in.
Walking around for the stores in Seoul, home designer Italian store, I realized that this is really the heart of the Italian design, home design in New York City. I'm here with Anthony from Cappellini. Anthony, when I walk in, I was captured by the colors. Color is very important for Cappellini, correct?
We're properly a color brand. Most of the time for pieces like Sistemi or like the high pads, things like that, we're here to provide that pop in your life, that fun, that function, but it's meant to be happy. It's meant to provide someone with a beautiful life. I've had the privilege to have some of these pieces in my house, and I know when I walk in, I have the same effect that you do when you walk into the showroom.
And I was reading about, the company was started in 1946, and I also was reading about the fact that you guys also nurture new talent.
Absolutely. That is one of the greatest contributions that you will find from Capellini. In fact, I always say Giulio Capellini's greatest gift to the world is finding the talent. Capellini is often a launching pad for designers that really make it huge. And we basically provide them with the opportunity to express new ideas. It's what we do.
Our gourmet editors, Michelle and Charlie Colone, are back on track to talk to us about wine and some very special food.
Hi, I'm Michelle Ciccolone,
And I'm Charles Ciccolone.
and we're here today tasting Cacio e pepe, prepared by Chef Simona Parisotto. Well, this is a wonderful dish, and it's a specialty of Rome, and it's a dish that has only 4 ingredients. That sounds like it would be really a snap to make, but it still takes a little bit of practice. All it is excellent pecorino cheese, cracked black pepper, pasta, of course, and the secret ingredient is the pasta cooking water. You put that all together and toss it till it gets nice and creamy, and you have an excellent supper. This is something that the shepherds used to make up in the hills. I can't wait to try it, but I think that Charles has something to tell us about a good wine that will match with it.
Yes, Michelle, I think Grucchetto would be the perfect wine to have with this particular dish. Grucchetto is a white grape that came into the Italian peninsula. It was brought there by the Greeks. It is a grape that goes into the most famous wine of Umbria, which is Orvieto, which is also the name of the very charming hill town in Umbria. There also are examples of 100% Grucchetto, and I think what makes this wine go with this dish is that it is a wine which has very fresh flavors and aromas which citrus, grass, herbs, and also I think good acidity, which makes it a good combination with this particular dish. And I think we'll try a sip of the wine first,
Okay.
and then we'll try this wonderful dish.
I can't wait. Dig in, Charles.
It's one of my favorites. It's one of the things I know when we go to Rome that you order all the time. I think it's just a wonderful combination of flavors.
Wow. You get the saltiness of the cheese, the creaminess of the pasta, a little spice from the black pepper. This is excellent.
It makes a combination with the wine, a perfect combination.
Well, thank you everyone, and we look forward to seeing you once again. Buon appetito.
Ciao.
Our pleasure activist Fred Plotkin, what new word do you have for us today? William Griswold, director of the Morgan Library, speaks to us about fantasy invention, Rosso Fiorentino, a 16th century Florentine drawing, taking place at the Morgan Library.
Today's word in Italian is lava, which is the same word in English when it's a noun. Lava as a verb means to wash, but I'm talking about the noun today. Lava is what comes out of a volcano. And if you see certain films with Anna Magnani, with Sophia Loren, you understand the volcanic personalities of certain Italians. This is a country that has at least 3 active volcanoes. You have Mount Vesuvius above Naples and Pompeii. You have Mount Etna above the huge city of Catania in Sicily. And then you have Stromboli, which is named for the island on which it sits. It's off the northern coast of Sicily. Now, I know that Americans say Stromboli and they think it's an Italian food. It's not. It's Stromboli, and that was a film with Ingrid Bergman, a magnificent, passionate, lava-filled movie. Now, why am I bringing up lava? Because if you live in a place where a volcano can erupt at any time, it gives you a certain kind of live-in-the-moment personality. And if you travel around, for example, Vesuvius, you discover that Pompeii, Herculaneum, known as Ercolano, are cities that were completely covered by lava in just about a moment. So in 79 AD, when Mount Vesuvius erupted, Pompeii was covered. And when it was dug up many, many centuries later, it was like a photograph had been taken, and there we have everything preserved in lava and revealed to us as if it were yesterday. It reveals a fascinating cultural aspect of ancient Italian culture. Now, on my first trip to Pompeii, I bought a pair of cufflinks, and I thought it was onyx, but it was actually made of lava, a beautiful, shiny black stone. And most people don't think in Italy that lava is all around them. The lava produces an incredibly rich soil, so that the foods that grow around Mount Vesuvius, especially the famous San Marzano tomatoes, are incredibly flavorful because there's so much lava in the soil. The same thing applies to Mount Etna in Sicily, which seems to be spewing all the time. I've seen it just throw rocks and lava and everything out of the cone of the volcano. And that produces wine grapes that are incredibly intense in flavor, very hot, and it's what you'd like. It's another aspect of Italy that people don't think about. They live in the present, but they live also with the constant recurring past. The lava represents layers and layers and layers of Italian history, which is among the most fascinating and complex in the world.
The Morgan Library Museum has an absolutely extraordinary collection of Italian manuscripts and books and drawings. And we currently have an extraordinary exhibition titled Fantasy and Invention, Rosso Fiorentino and Florentine 16th Century Drawing, in which we have as the centerpiece a remarkable painting by Rosso Fiorentino from the Walters Art Gallery in Baltimore. Rosso Fiorentino, perhaps the most important, the most inventive, the most expressive of Italian Mannerist painters, also an extraordinary rare painter. There are only 3 pictures by him in the United States, and this is the centerpiece of an installation in which we have brought together a number of our finest Italian drawings of the 16th century, with masterpieces by Michelangelo, by Bronzino, a drawing by Bronzino that no one has ever before seen. It's never been identified previously as by Bronzino. Drawings by Salviati, by Rosso's great contemporary Pontormo. And these drawings and the artist's letters in the exhibition, together with the painting, vividly illuminate one of the most fascinating chapters in the entire history of art, which is the culmination of the Renaissance tradition and its transformation into an extraordinarily expressive idiom in Florence at the beginning of the 16th century. It is one of the most exciting moments in the history of art, and it is something that everyone in this country should see. The exhibition is on view at the Morgan Library and Museum in New York through February the 8th, and I strongly encourage you to come and see this wonderful presentation of great works from one of the great moments in the history of European culture.
For our interviews, we went to Staten Island. Staten Island is the most Italian neighbor in New York City. Italians immigrated here in 1960 after the Verrazzano Bridge was built. We met with Senator Diane Savino, who represents Staten Island and Brooklyn, and we asked her some questions about the Italian community she deals with every day. And then we went to Casa Belvedere, the Italian arts and cultural campus in Staten Island, and we met with the founder, Gina Biancardi, first-generation Italian-American who has been involved in the community since she was a teen.
Staten Island grew so rapidly, and as a result of that growth, it also has the highest concentration of Italian-American immigrants or children of immigrants of any county in the country. I'm Diane Savino. I'm the state senator from the 23rd District, which is a portion of Staten Island and South Brooklyn. I'm a second-generation American. My grandmother, who is 101 right now, her family came from Naples, and my grandfather's family came from Bari. They were Barese and Napolitano. My grandmother's parents actually met on the boat coming over. And so they started out as strangers, and when they got off the boat, they were engaged, forcefully, I think. I grew up in Astoria. I moved to Staten Island a little more than 10 years ago. But Astoria was a very, insular community, like many of the outer borough communities were. In Astoria, you were either Irish or Italian, or you were Irish and Italian. And it wasn't until I went to high school in Jamaica, Queens, which is 2 subway rides away, that I really encountered people that didn't look like me. It's really silly when you think about it in a city the size of New York, how insular we could still be. For young Italian Americans, particularly in neighborhoods like mine or in parts of Brooklyn, where the standard of beauty at the time was very different than it is right now. At the time, if you remember, if you picked up a teen magazine, someone that would be on the cover of it would usually be a blonde, blue-eyed, teen model or teen actress. Well, people like myself, we could never achieve that level of the standard of beauty that was dictated by Hollywood. At that point in time, it was around late 1975, 1976, there was this movie that came out called Saturday Night Fever. And it was like a pivotal moment in the social identification of Italian American youth. Because suddenly, here we had these images on TV, on this big screen. They were glamorous, Tony Manero, he was like many of the young people that I knew and hung out with in Astoria, same neighborhood in Bensonhurst or Bay Ridge, these young Italian guys who suddenly became the image of sophistication, as funny as that may be. But now we had our own image. We could be this Italian American Guido. We finally had something that belonged to us. We didn't have to struggle to try and look like someone else. When I was 16, my grandmother, Antoinette, she worked at a hospital in Queens. She got me a job in the cafeteria. That was my first real job. And at one point, there was a huge strike. And my grandmother was very active in that strike. And I remember at the time, I had to go to work, and she said, "No, you're not going to work. You can't cross the picket line." So couldn't cross my grandmother's picket line. So she made me walk the picket line with her during that strike. When I moved to Staten Island in 2001, I immediately got involved in the Democratic Party. About 3 years after I got here, David Patterson, who was the former governor, but at the time was the Senate Democratic leader, recruited me to run for Senate. And my initial instinct was, no, can't run for Senate. Like most women, we don't think we can do it. But he was very persuasive, and I started to think about the things that I believed in and what was important in the role of government in the lives of working people and where I could be most effective, and I decided to run. I ran the primary. I won. I went on to win the general election. It was a very expensive race. But yet and still, the North Shore of Staten Island had always been the Irish part of the island. And so I was an Italian American now representing the North Shore, and the first woman to represent Staten Island in the state Senate. So I think there were some people who were whose feathers were ruffled a little, because the Italians are supposed to represent the South Shore of Staten Island, not the North Shore. And so I think some people felt that I was an interloper. And then every now and then I have to remind them that my mother was Irish too, and then they say, "Oh, well, that's okay." The building of the Verrazano Bridge changed Staten Island forever. It led to the greatest migration of Italian Americans from places like Brooklyn and Queens to Staten Island, in the period of maybe 10 or 15 years. Italian Americans who had moved there from the Lower East Side were not particularly welcoming of the diversity of Brooklyn, so they were fleeing there, and so Staten Island became the place that they moved to. They then, when they got here, they encountered their own opposition from the prior, immigrants who were here were predominantly Irish, who weren't pleased about the Italians moving into Staten Island. And so it created its own, division. And of course, like what had happened in Brooklyn and what happened in the Bronx and what happened in Queens, is the daughters of Ireland married the sons of Italy. And so now you have this, you know, community of Italian and Irish kids.
I'm first generation Italian American. My parents came from Italy in the 1960s, as many Italians came during that time period. At that time, it wasn't chic to be Italian, it wasn't chic to speak Italian, so they were forced to assimilate into mainstream society. But at home, they refused. No matter how much the bigger society or the Americans, gli Americani, would make fun of them because they didn't speak English properly, they refused to ever have us speak English in the home. They said, you learn English in school? We are Italian. In this house, we speak Italian. I started my family here on Staten Island, and my children were born here on Staten Island, and it's a huge, huge population of Italian Americans on Staten Island. I think at least 38% of the population, the entire 400,000 Staten Island population, are of Italian origin. Right now we're in Casa Belvedere, the Italian Cultural Foundation in Staten Island. It's on Grimes Hill. We have a beautiful view of the Verrazano Bridge in New York Harbor. And this is a 100-year-old mansion. It does have a lot of rich history, and it was built in Italianate style. So again, it's perfect for an Italian cultural center. And I named it Casa Belvedere because it's a house with a beautiful view. After 3 years of great programs that we did, Italian language classes and presentations and lectures and book signings and Italian culinary classes and film and musical performances, etc., we finally received a nice grant from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs to restore and renovate the mansion so that we can do even more. The first room that we're going to complete is our culinary classroom, state-of-the-art. GD Cucina sponsored the cabinets, Colavita is sponsoring the kitchen, and we can't wait because it should be done within the next month or so. The grand vision, of course, is to restore the entire mansion, all 4 floors, including the garden level downstairs. We'd like to have membership dining, and also part of it, the 2nd and 3rd floor, will be a museum open to the public. And we'd like to have traveling exhibits from Italy, different artists and musical performances and all sorts of cultural activities, and also a sports museum, an Italian-American sports museum will be housed in this villa. We really need to educate young people in particular about what it means to really be Italian, and it's been my lifelong dream, so how can I ever give up on my dream? It's my dream. That's the only answer I could give.
We have some suggestions for the upcoming week.
Exhibition, Illustrators 55. Works from 500 leading contemporary illustrators and animators are on view, featuring winning selections from Emiliano Ponzi and other Italian artists. Mantegna to Matisse exhibition, master drawings from the Courtauld Gallery. A wide range of techniques, hands and styles coming directly from the Courtauld Gallery. At the Frick collection, you have the unique opportunity to see works from Mantegna, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo Buonarroti, together with Cézanne, Van Gogh, Degas, and many others. Opera, Il Trovatore. David McVicker's vivid production keeps the action moving in Verdi's intense melodrama, which includes some of the composer's most memorable music. Concert, Tarantella Spider Dance, written and directed by Alessandra Belloni. Tarantella is a unique dance from southern Italy. It features performers such as aerial, fire, still dancer, masked characters, and acrobats.
After trying all these nice and comfortable chairs, a poltrona Frau in Soho, which is Italian neighbor for design in New York City, I will see you next week. Ciao!
This edition of Italy TV is sponsored by Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line. From her all-natural, extra virgin olive oil and balsamic vinegar to her stock in a box, all designed for preparing quick and convenient meals at home in less time with delicious results. And Baci Perugina chocolates. Say I love you the Italian way.